Hey everyone, this is Ari Hamami, and today we'll do a comparison between two twin fragrances that have been around for many years and have a reputation for great quality despite their pretty cheap price. Encre Noir Original and Encre Noir Extreme from Lalique. Now, the original Lalique is a special one for me because I remember I was a teenager and this one was my brother's signature scent for many, many years. And I clearly remember how much he loved the scent back in 2006 and 2007. Fast forward almost 20 years, I still have a few fragrances from this line. And I wanted us to take a look into the line and see if this line is still relevant after all these years. First up, the original Encre Noir is beautifully simple and creates an experience that is honestly hard to find these days. It opens with a sharp citrus note that finds its way into a lot, and I mean a lot of vetiver. Even when it settles into its woody and musky base, it's still all about vetiver. A lot of people say it's a sad scent. It's like taking a lonely walk through a damp forest, or it's inky, it's dark, and I agree with every single one of those statements. It is not a bad experience at all. It's just so different, unique, and dark, but done in a really good way. And I think that is why people are still talking about this scent. On the other hand, Encre Noir Extreme, which was introduced several years after the original back in 2015, adds a layer of complexity to the original. When you spray it, you'll quickly notice that it still has the overall structure and the overall scent profile of the original with all that loud cypress and vetiver notes, but this time it offers a much more spicy and boozy character. Think of the original that is mixed with some booze, burning wood, or different spices, and that's what you get with the extreme version. They're both pretty mysterious and dark scents, and I love them both, but I think the complexity that was added to the extreme version makes it a relatively more interesting choice. Other than being more complex, this extra layer of smokiness helps the extreme version perform better too. With the original, you won't get a beast performer, and I think in the best case scenario, if you're lucky, maybe you'll get 4 hours of longevity with weak to medium, maybe medium projection. But with the extreme version, you can get around 6 hours with medium projection and sillage, which is overall an improvement over the original scent, but still will not make either of them a strong performer by any means. So if you just forget about the performance and want to look at these two scents objectively, the original is an artistic take on an earthy experience with a special focus on vetiver. The vetiver here is as earthy as it gets, and it doesn't really give you the kind of scent that you would expect from your typical designer fragrance. It is a much more artistic take on vetiver, and that is why a lot of people consider this scent niche rather than just a typical designer scent. I can see how some people may not like the scent because it's so dry and so dark and so linear, but for me, this is just simply art, and I like how different it is. I like that aspect of it. As for the extreme version, the little tweaks with that added boozy and spicy leather make it a more wearable choice, and it rounds up some of the edges with the original. They're both pretty mature and masculine cold weather scents, but I think the extreme version might be a bit more versatile compared to the original. Now, after all that, you might ask yourself, are these two still relevant after all these years? And the answer is a big yes. These two are fragrances that offer such a unique take on vetiver, and it is still very hard to find in other fragrances the kind of take that they have on vetiver. And honestly, this type of artistic perfumery is kind of uncommon these days. With the very cheap prices that you can find these for, and if you want to ignore the performance issues, I think you'll have a very hard time finding anything with a more unique take on vetiver than what these two do. So yes, you should absolutely consider adding these two to your collection if you don't already have them, especially considering the great value for your money that you get with them. All right, that was it from me. A short comparison between these two fragrances that I'm happy they're still around and we still get these kind of artistic takes on perfumery from a designer house. Thanks again for watching, and let me know what you think about these two different fragrances. I'll see you again in the next one. Bye.